I'm John Van Nortwick with Fleetworthy Solutions, and I'm going to talk about protecting your revenue on the road. I've been in trucking for about 25 years, maybe more, doing safety and compliance on the technology side. But before I was a computer nerd, I actually was in the Marine Corps and actually drove some truck when I was in Saudi Arabia. So we got deployed for Desert Storm and got it over to Saudi Arabia, and they had all of our stuff at the shipyards, but we needed to get all of our munitions up to the front lines before we were going to be doing anything with liberating Kuwait. So they got us a bunch of civilian trucks, old Mercedes, flatbeds, that we could load all of our ammunition on and start driving up to the truck. At the beginning, we had civilian drivers that actually would be driving, we'd be doing security, and then after a couple friendly fire incidents, they actually put us in the cabs, and there was even a guy on my team that never driven a stick before, so now he was driving an 18-wheeler with a flatbed full of grenades and ammo. So we drove that up for a while. So the friendly fire was obviously dangerous, so we actually had pink or orange flags on the top of the trucks to let our pilots know that we were friendlies, because there had been too many friendly fire accidents. So driving was very dangerous. Towards the right beginning of the war, we had to get our stuff spread out across the front line, so we were using the same kind of trucks, moving our stuff across the front lines, and no hours of service rules, obviously, so we were driving 24/7. We actually had one of our guys fall asleep. You're driving a truck full of ammo, so he was killed. They brought us in. We're thinking, oh, they're going to finally give us a break. We're not going to have to be doing this. They let us know what happened and told us to be more careful and sent us back out on the road. So it was a very interesting experience, but it taught me a lot, because then when we did do the ground invasion, one of the key things was having all of our ammo and have all of our supplies and the forward supply points to show us. So what I learned, and why I'm telling this story, is it turned out that trucking was the key part of the mission that enabled everything else. And as it turned out, the trucking part of the mission was actually the most dangerous. We lost more people in the preamble to the actual ground war than in the actual ground war, from my unit at least. And I think this is essentially true today, right? Everybody in the US gets very used to getting their goods on time, and trucks enable that, but nobody really understands that. And it's also one of the more dangerous jobs out there. We get people dying on the road all the time, so it's a super dangerous job, and we don't appreciate the drivers enough. So I wanted to see what we could do to talk about how we can optimize your time on the road, as well as make it as safe as possible. So at Fleetworthy, we got a suite of products, and just give a little preamble. I'll try not to make this an advertisement, but we are Best Pass and DriveWise came together with Fleetworthy. But as an owner-operator in a small fleet, you're both the driver, the safety, compliance, dispatch, everything. So really need to focus on keeping your trucks moving, and because that's where you're making your money. So as a technology company, we make our money by writing code. As drivers, you're making money when the freight's moving. So we want to make sure we're doing everything we can to reduce that friction and keep the trucks moving. And because once you look at the business that way, then all the other problems make sense. So I just want to kind of talk through some of the different areas where we can reduce the friction and improve your bottom line. So you're not just driving, you're running the entire business. So there's safety, compliance, and paperwork. We want to make sure we're doing the best job we can to reduce these areas. So we're going to focus on the toll management, way station bypass opportunities, as well as safety and compliance. So if all of this is on your shoulder, what actually makes money? So the key thing to remember is when your truck's moving, you're making revenue. When your truck's not moving, there's no revenue. So we want to do everything we can to reduce friction, keep you moving, and also keep you from having those little incidents, as well as the big incidents. We want to make sure you're getting home safe, but also a fender bender or something can put you out for a day, and that lost revenue costs a small fleet or an owner-operator a ton. So every day the business is really a balancing act. So you've got to constantly look for different ways you're going to spend your time. So whether you're going to spend it on the compliance or safety or efficiency, you need to be making those decisions and trading off time to make sure you're getting your drive down the road. So every decision you make is a balance act between these things. And most problems bypass happen when one of these gets out of balance. So we want to make sure we're addressing all these areas. So let's start with one of the least glamorous areas, and that is the toll problem. So tolling is really an admin problem. It's not hard. It's just expensive in time. So we want to make sure we're optimizing our time. So with multiple agencies, multiple bills, we want to consolidate all that information to keep you moving. We can also help with hidden costs. So a toll program will help you with not getting those toll violations, administrative efficiency, and missed discounts, so, as well as volume discounts that are available. And when you simplify, the value is bigger than the toll itself. And you can start seeing some of the ways you can save. So reducing toll violations, reducing late fees 100%, you don't have any admin fees, and we maximize our toll discounts. So let's move from that friction to the roadside friction. So another area that you want to make sure you're optimizing is the bypass, so the weigh station. Any unnecessary stop's going to cost you time and money. So and it's unpredictable. So if you get pulled in, if you get an inspection, all of a sudden you're losing time and money. So it's a stop is never just a stop. It's time, disruption, uncertainty, and sometimes a downstream miss. So it's important to, if we can bypass those weigh stations, to do that. So what's avoiding the friction actually do for you? Looking at A-tree studies, this may be different for everybody in the room, but it's about $11.95 per bypass if you don't get an inspection. So it's going to be even more than that you do. We used all of our trucks that we used to come up with the time, and then we used an A-tree study to develop the actual numbers. And a small estimate is 120 pull-ins avoided per year. So the numbers start adding up. So predictability is underrated. We really want to be able to understand and be able to avoid those bypasses. Drivers love getting those bypasses, and you just keep making money. So, and once you've worked the toll friction, the next big opportunity is to avoid those surprises on the road. So some of those problems on the road, this is where we get into more of the safety side of things. So we want to be able to get information about the hidden hazards on the road, slowdowns, sharp curves, high-risk locations, weather, and avoiding those costly consequences. We want to do this not because we want more buzzers in the cab. We want to get these to be more proactive. So a lot of the things that are going off in the cab are the speed violations or lane departure. We want to get in front of those with proactive alerts. So those in-cab alerts are distraction-free, they're location-based. We'll go through all the different types, but we want to make sure we're avoiding some of those. I know a lot of people think they've got a lot of those under control, but it's when you're not aware of those that they come up. So if you get off route and all of a sudden you got a low bridge, we had someone come to our booth earlier. They came up and gave one of our guys a hug because they avoided a low bridge incident after installing the proactive alerts. Custom zones are available too, so you can actually geofence different areas to warn yourself or drivers. And sometimes you don't think you need to warn yourself, but I know that if I'm going to pick up milk on the way home from work, if I think about that in the morning, I tell myself I'm going to miss that every time, I'm going to forget. But if I get an alert while I'm on my way home, even though I knew I had to do it, then I'm going to remember to stop for that milk. So the proactive alert at the right time, it's the right information at the right time that's going to help you avoid those different situations. Sorry. So Some of our fleets are seeing, or individual drivers, 22% reduction. Obviously, you're a single driver, you might not see that, but fewer critical events, that's going to be less wear and tear. And we also integrate with 40 plus telematics partners. So it's a simple install. It works right directly with your ELD or on your phone, depending on what you want to leverage. And just to talk about if it works, we actually, Cleveland State University did a study with the proactive alerts. We actually partner with states to get the proactive alerts. So some of these alerts are absolutely free to everyone here, so you can get these installed, no obligation. Ohio is a big customer of ours that's providing these alerts, and they did a study looking at CMV secondary crashes. So getting that warning before they got to a congestion area so that they were aware and starting to slow down before they get to the congestion had a dramatic reduction in the secondary crashes. And then time saved was also very impactful, so 20 and a half hours per mile in the period after, so saves time, which is money, and gets money in your pocket. And they actually interviewed drivers at the way stations and talked to them about how effective the alerts were. So these are owner-operators, these are fleet drivers. Very effective, somewhat effective. So 89% of the drivers found the alerts to be effective. So these are avoiding issues, avoiding times that you're waste, and they're driver friendly. I didn't want to talk too much about any specifics, but I did want to go over, since this is an absolutely free product that's available to you to install today that is sponsored by those states and us, I wanted to go through a few of the different alert types. So again, these are proactive alerts. So these aren't trying to warn you and beep at you when you're doing something wrong. This is trying to get in front of those problems. So the rollover, these are A3 studied rollover locations. We do runaway ramps and a lot of things at the steep mountain passes to help you avoid any kind of issues. So the brake checks, the steep grade. Low bridge is one of our favorite for people. So anytime you're off your normal route or you're not looking at your truck mile route system, you're going to have a chance of hitting a low bridge. We've got a huge database of low bridge based on all of our 100,000 trucks and our large fleets that are providing that is to help us aggregate all that data. The public service alerts, those are typically through our state partners. All of a sudden slowdown is through INREC, so you're going to get those automatically, let you know that there's an unexpected slowdown or a sudden slowdown coming ahead. Service vehicle information, so we're going to let you know about that through our integration with Haas. Active work zones are coming through the states, so you're going to know well in advance of a work zone to get in the left lane or the right lane. That can actually be dynamic as far as how that works. Rest area, we've got actually devices out at the rest areas to help identify how many parking spaces are available. So these are all great information to have as you're driving to keep you moving and keep you optimized to make most money, and they're absolutely free. So definitely ask you to come down to our booth down the right side there. We're serving ice cream later, and check out those free alerts. In addition to the free alerts, we do offer an advanced level, so that's going to include minute-by-minute updates about the weather and giving you proactive weather alerts, speed violations, and these aren't your normal speed violations. So what we're doing is we're looking at all the CSA data, all the MCMAS data, all the speed violations for all the fleets, and we're looking for where X violations are happening with Y miles. So we're actually trying to help you with identifying where the enforcement zones are. So as your truck comes up, as you come up to a high enforcement area, if you are speeding, we're going to give you a warning that says you're approaching a high enforcement area, so you can slow down and avoid getting a costly ticket. We also will let you know about high theft cargo areas, so we have an integration with CargoNet. We're going to let you know that this is a high theft area, and we're getting those updates on a daily basis. So we're going to let you know when a nuanced area that's got a cargo theft area, as well as any truck stops that are known for high theft areas. And the other thing that comes with this is the custom zones. So you can actually create different custom zones. So some of our fleets will use them for customer service, reminding drivers to check in with the gate, how to strap a load, a lot of different things that are very handy for drivers to make sure they're aware of. outside of the road, compliance can slow you down too. So we want to make sure that we're not wasting our time doing paperwork. We don't want to be back office workers. We want to be warned about anything that we need to take care of before they happen, before they cause us a delay outside of the road. And most of these problems aren't hard. So whether it's a driver file, we're going to help you, we're going to remind you about documents. We're going to give you an electronic wallet, so you've got the documentation you need on your phone. We're going to help with extracting data, so if you're getting your medical card, we're going to look at the the doctor's name on there, make sure he's on the approved list for those medical cards. You can store your vehicle and equipment files, again, making that available in your driver wallet, so if you don't have your documentation with you, you'll be able to show that along with maintenance schedules and anything else you want to store online. We also can help with some of the simple things that don't take very long but are just a pain for people to manage. So 2290 form, renewals, registration, these are all things we can help so you can focus on actual driving and making money. So if the real issue is not complexity but consistency, that leads to the next point. So the best operators are staying aware. They're avoiding these interruptions with the toll programs, with the bypass, make sure they're not getting pulled in, make sure they're not having a small incident that's going to cost them money. They're staying compliant and they're staying organized. So I just wanted to reiterate, Fleetworthy is the combination of what was Best Pass and DriveWise, if you're aware of those, along with Fleetworthy. And we're the only provider that offers the full suite of safety, compliance, and toll bypass solution. Just some good examples of fleets that have embraced our technologies and seen great results with those. Drivers love those, so the retention is big. I know a lot of our fleets here are a little smaller, but the reduction in admin time, the preventable accidents, or even the smaller incidents that keep you from making money and being on the road. RWE Clean Energy was another one that took our full suite. So the whole licensing, the full process, on-time performance, and again, drivers love the features. That's really all I had for you guys. I don't know if there's any questions, but appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.